Good evening. Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975 has been provided by the annual notice published in the Home News and Tribune on December 13, 2024, and has been posted in the main lobby of the municipal complex on December 18, 2024. Township of Edison Zoning Board of Adjustment reorganization meeting of January 21st is now in session. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mr. Bletcher? Mr. Carley? Ms. Shaw?
Here.
Mr. Aya?
Here.
Mr. Chabra?
Here.
Mr. Patel?
Here.
Mr. DeVay?
Here.
Mr. Siddhartha?
Here.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Here.
And Chairman Kumba.
Here.
Thank you. Now I call for a motion for chairperson. Do I have a first?
To make a motion for make Michael Kumba the chairman of the board.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Siddhartha. Roll call. Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Siddhartha?
Yes to the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba.
Yes on the motion. Thank you very much. Thank you, members of the board. Thank you so much for your confidence. I look forward to another great year. Thank you to our board professionals and our board staff for all that they do to make us look good. Board members, thank you for your time and talent for what you do to serve this board. And thank you to my family who's watching right now. You have midterms tomorrow, so turn off YouTube and get back to the books. The chair will now consider a motion for nomination for the position of vice chairman of the board.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Ms. Chabra.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Daniel O'Gorman as vice chairman to the board.
Second.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Chabra, seconded by Mr. Patel. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes to.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Siddhartha?
Yes to motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba.
Yes on the motion. Congratulations, Vice Chairman.
Congratulations.
The chair will now entertain a motion naming Rachel Gregario as Secretary of Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Second. No, sorry, that make no. Motion to nominate Rachel as secretary.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Patel, seconded by Mr. Siddhartha. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Siddhartha?
Yes to the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba.
Yes on the motion.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Nomination for the position of attorney to the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
I make a motion to nominate Bhavini as a board attorney.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Dave, seconded by Mr. Patel. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Siddhartha?
Yes to the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba.
Yes on the motion. Ms. Shah, thank you so much for your service. We look forward to another great year. Keep earning those victories for us in court.
Thank you.
The chair will now entertain a motion for professional planner to the board.
Motion.
Motion.
Make a motion that, for Hank Bicknell to be the township planner.
Just to clarify, it would be Big Now Planning Consultants to
Bignell, yeah.
be planner for this.
Bignell planning.
Bicknell Planning and Consultants.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, seconded by Mr. Siddhartha. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Siddhartha?
Yes to motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba.
Yes on the motion.
Thank you.
Mr. Bletcher, thank you so much. Next, Chair will entertain a motion to name a professional engineer to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for Delaware Raritan Engineering, Charlie Carley, Township Engineer, for the zoning board engineer.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, second by Mr. Sadata. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes on the motion?
Mr. DeVey?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Siddhartha?
Yes to the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kamba?
Yes on the motion. All right, thank you, everyone. Next, Madam Secretary, minutes for consideration.
December 17th, 2024, minutes of approval.
What's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Sadata, second by Mr. Patel. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVey?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Siddhartha?
Yes on the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kamba?
Yes on the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a regular meeting of the Township of Edison Zoning Board of Adjustment. The board is composed of Edison Township residents appointed by the municipal council who volunteer their time and service to the board. The municipal land use law requires that members successfully complete a land use training course administered by the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. This board also holds in-house training conducted by our board professionals. The zoning board abides by the provision of municipal land use law in addition to our board's bylaws. The zoning board is a quasi-judicial land use board, which differs from the township planning board. Under the municipal land use law, board members are required to be impartial and are not allowed to discuss any case prior to being considered at a hearing. All applicants will have the opportunity to present their case before the board, along with the opportunity for board members and board professionals to question the applicant and their witnesses. At the conclusion of the applicant's presentation of their case, the case will be open to the public. Residents within 200 feet of the subject property will be heard, followed by residents from outside of 200 feet. All residents will be sworn in, they'll provide their name and address, and they'll be given 6 minutes to comment on the application being considered without the opportunity for a rebuttal. Residents may ask questions of the applicant's professionals, and board professionals. The board requests that these questions be asked prior to any commentary being made on the application. Once commentary begins, the resident's timer will begin. The applicant would be allowed for the opportunity for cross-examination of their witnesses. Under the law, the chair is allowed to stop any commentary which is repetitive or an attempt to filibuster the board. Further, the chair is allowed to stop any commentary that is irrelevant to the case or prohibited from the board's consideration. Once the public portion is closed, all public comments are ended unless new testimony is presented by the applicant. Following the closure of the public portion, the applicant will have the right of summation on their application. Following summation, the case will go to the board for decision. This procedure has been followed by the board and is similar to the procedures followed by boards of adjustment statewide. The municipal land use law requires the board to engage in a balancing act and is not required to strictly apply township ordinances, zoning plan, or master plan. As a board of adjustment, variances are granted when appropriately necessary, following all legal considerations. As has been the case with prior boards, this board will see where we're at if we're still in session around 10:30 p.m. I ask that all applicants, professionals, and residents show their respect to each other and be civil throughout all proceedings. I ask that you withhold applause, booing, or interrupting anyone while they are speaking. The chair will not tolerate outbursts by applicants, professionals, or the public. Further, since most cases are being recorded by a court reporter, I ask that speakers do not speak over one another. Madam Secretary, first case on the agenda, please.
First case, case number Z23-2024, Mayor Kenderwall at 41 Terry Avenue. Applicant is seeking bulk variances to construct a new single-family dwelling. The following standards have not been met. Total side yard required is 18 feet, proposed is 14 feet. Building height required is 32 feet, proposed is 34.90 feet. Max percent of lot coverage required is 23%, proposed is 23.94%. Affected property is located in the RB zone, designated as block number 643.22, lot number 6 on the Edison Township tax map. All noticing paperwork is in order.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, would you like to raise your right hand? Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And state your full name for the record.
Mayur Khandelwal.
And Mr. Kandawal, if you could just tell us what you'd like to do and why you'd like to do it.
We are building a new home for myself and my family. Applying for variance, the side yard required is 18. We are applying it for 14. I think which is already existing. Building height allowed is 32, we want to apply it for 34.9. And lot coverage is 23%, we are applying for 23.94.
Is that all you have to testify?
Yes, we want to build a house for my family and
Okay. What's the reason for developing this new home?
in existing house, we don't have any bedroom on the first floor. And my mom who lives with me, she needs a bedroom on first floor. So that is one of the main reason we are building this house.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Kendall?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dave?
Right, so you have 2 stairs on the first floor, correct?
Yes,
All right, and the second floor, second stair is a fixed stair going into attic as well.
yes,
And you have attic as a full height,
yes.
right? Are you finishing that attic?
No, not at all.
Right, would you agree to just make that as a folding access to this attic versus the fixed stair?
If board wants me to, yes.
Okay, all right, so that would be the condition of approval if board decide to agree. It would be a folding a stair, not a permanent stair going to the attic. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So if, Mr. Dave, just to clarify for the record, just, that would be a condition of approval if so approved?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Board have any other questions, Mr. Kendall? Mr. Sada?
Do we have a basement plan?
Yes,
Finished basement?
yeah, we are going to finish the basement.
Any kitchen or bathroom?
Maybe half bathroom,
A bathroom, okay.
yeah.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chhabra?
Is there, I'm looking at it and it seems like you're 3 feet above, over the height limit, and that's due to your attic. Since you're not going to be putting the permanent stairs, would you be willing to bring the height down?
If it is required by board, I can ask the architect to
Okay, all right,
reduce it if that is what board wants me to do it.
okay, thank you.
So as a result of that, if so approved, you'd agree to submit revised architecturals?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Vice Chairman?
Yes, you have, in reference to the side yard setbacks, you want to go from 18, requires 18, and you have 14. In reference to the square footage, why don't you just make
It's
that an
already-
hour and go back?
it's already, the existing property which is there is 14. So I'm just putting what it means. I'm not asking for anything more.
You're saying the statement that the existing setbacks or the proposed setbacks are existing?
Yes. The existing house right now has, I think, 13 and a half, which is already there. So I'm not increasing anything.
Yeah, on the microphone.
So you're going to remove the...
Mr.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Please.
Thank you. Apologize for that. You're going to remove the complete structure.
Yes,
You're going to remove the foundation.
absolutely.
Okay, so once you remove more than 50% of the existing structure, it loses its nonconformity. So you have to bring that new structure into conformance with the bulk table. So you would have to have combined 18-foot setbacks on the side,
Right,
6 and 12, 9 and 9, however you want to make it. You have to have a combined side yard setbacks of 18. You can't keep that same 14-foot non-conforming setback since you're removing more than 50% of the structure.
okay.
So the structure as it is, it's non-conforming. It doesn't conform to the setbacks.
Okay,
Once you remove the entire structure, there's nothing there but dirt. That new house has to conform. You're going to have to shift it to conform to the setbacks and comply with the new bulk standard setbacks.
I understand. So means it,
You can build it, but you just have to comply to the setbacks.
Squeeze, sorry.
You go
You
ahead.
have to just squeeze it 4 feet and then extend it 4 feet to just get your overall square feet.
got it.
You follow?
Yes, I absolutely understand. You're saying that increase the square feet in the back of the house instead of
Sure.
the side.
So I don't know if my colleagues on the board would agree with me, but I just think there's been so many changes to the house between the architecturals and then also the site plan. I'd like to, to see if you'd be willing to carry to another night, resubmit, revise architecturals or revise site plan with how this is going to look prior to us considering it.
Absolutely, because if I'm going to change the side, then everything changes.
Yes.
So once you change it, just so, I mean, that's something I think the zoning officer can look at, but you may very well not require a variance
Right.
if you bring it into conformity, because there,
Right, but
you know,
in,
it just depends on what the maximum percentage of lot coverage will be once you modify.
right, but in that neighborhood, in RB zone, there are a lot of houses which are getting approved with even lesser side backs. So why am I supposed to squeeze it? Means if you're not approving others, I understand, but if other people are getting approval and I'm not, so that is
I'm not
my
aware of
question.
any other homes on Terry that have come before this board.
Means in RB zone.
I know RB zone, yeah. No, I grew up in the RB zone.
Yeah, means on Hamilton, there's a house which a couple of years back got approved with
Okay.
hardly 4 feet on each side or 3 feet on each
I'm
side.
not aware of it.
It's 14 Hamilton.
Okay.
They did the extension. There is on Temple, there's another one. So means I thought that this is something which means there are so many other properties who has very, very less side yards. So I'm not sure why I'm not getting approved.
Okay, that,
And
I'm gonna
when
leave
there
that
are
question.
when there are, everybody else is getting permit.
Each case is judged individually.
Okay.
So we can't just because if somebody comes in 3 years ago when there were different members sitting here, doesn't mean that it's going to work, that's going to take. Each property is cut differently. Each proposal is completely different. So we have to take each proposal for what it is.
I understand.
Mr. Chairman?
Vice Chairman?
Also, it's the applicant's responsibility to present the facts to us on the characteristics of the neighborhood. So if you're saying there's similar houses, you need to provide the addresses.
And it
That's
can
your
be considered.
obligation.
Okay.
Thank you.
You can do that.
Thank you.
Sure.
So how long would you estimate that you need to be able to come back? How much time do you need?
I think I can be ready for April meeting or March meeting.
Okay.
April.
Madam Secretary?
We could do April 22nd.
Okay.
That's good for you?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
All right, okay. All right, excellent. So for anyone here present and for anyone listening at home, this case will be carried until Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. The meeting will be held here in council chambers beginning at 7 p.m. If you received a notice, you will not receive another notice. This will serve as your notice. And thank you very much for working with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Madam Secretary, next case on the agenda, please.
Case number Z21-2024, Dada Bhagwan Vigwan Institute at 52 to 54 Vineyard Road. Applicant is seeking preliminary and final site plan approval and seeking bulk and use variances to convert an existing one-story restaurant bar to a two-story place of worship. Standards have not been met in accordance with the master plan. Max lot area required is 3 acres, proposed is 0.69 acres. Max lot width required is 200 feet, proposed is 100 feet at existing. Max impervious coverage required is 40%, proposed is 98.2%. Affected property is located in the RB zone, designated as block number 1111, lot number 54 on the Edison Township tax map. All noticing paperwork is in order.
Good evening, Mr. Arch.
Good evening. Thank you, members of the board. First off, congratulations on your renominations and being back here on the board. It's good to see you. Preliminarily, I would just like to confirm that I believe we have 6 voting members tonight. I just want to confirm that before we go forward.
Your math is accurate.
Okay, thank you. You may recall we were back here on December 17th of last year, and we presented our case at that time. This was for the Dada Bhagwan Vignan Institute, which we want to propose to essentially take Richie's Bar, which is the current use that's on Vineyard Road, and basically rehab the area, make it into a spiritual center, very similar to the spiritual center that shares a lot line with it, the Buddhist spiritual center. You'll recall we heard testimony from Bhupendra Patel, who is the representative of Dada Bhagwan, as well as our engineer, our architect, our traffic engineer, and our professional planner. At the close of our testimony, I believe there were some questions, I believe that were directed by Mr. Chabra about possibly doing additional counts or possibly getting more information about what the current traffic yields are at Richie's compared to what the current traffic yields are at the location where Dada Bhagwan is currently operating out of. If you recall, they're leasing a space on Ethel Road. They're only allowed to meet once a week there for a 3-hour period. They have approximately 40 members at this time, and quite frankly, being in that restricted time slot, everybody has to go there at the same time in order to partake of of their religious practice there. And by coming to this site, it would afford them a lot more flexibility. They don't have set mass times, so you would be able to take those 40 congregants and they'd be able to come throughout the week. So it would actually end up dispersing those 40 congregants throughout the week and likely lead to less traffic than what is even being seen on Ethel Road. But in any event, we did have Mr. Ray go out and do some more investigation at the board's recommendation, and so we do have him to present some testimony here tonight. So unless there's any other questions of me or anything else that needs to be clarified. I will state also that we did go through the Bignell report, and I believe Mr. Bignell put on the record that he was satisfied with the answers to all the questions on his report. We also went through Mr. Carley's engineering report. Mr. Carley, I believe, indicated that this would be quite an improvement to the site and was satisfied with, again, all of our answers in that respect. And I believe the board also indicated certain conditions that they would like to see, that the applicant has agreed to all of those conditions, which include limiting the number of congregants to 175, which is significantly more than they have now, limiting the access or restricting, I believe, left in access at the one access point, which we agreed to. Forgive me, there's several other conditions that we all agreed to. They're in the transcript here, and we'll make sure that they're all reflected in the resolution if this is approved. But just so you recall, we're agreeing to everything.
Great. Does the board have anything for Mr. Arch? All right, you may proceed.
I would ask Mr. John Ray to, well, I guess, is he still sworn in or get sworn in?
You want me to get
You'll
sworn?
swear him in again, yeah. Mr. Ray, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And just state your name for the record.
John Ray, REA, a professional engineer with McDonough and Ray Associates, offices in Manasquan and Westfield, New Jersey.
Mr. Ray, you put your qualifications on the record during the last hearing. I'm just going to ask you if your licenses are still current and good standing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. You may proceed.
Thank you.
All right, so John, as of, you recall the testimony last time in December. Since then, you've gone out and you've made some more observations. If you can please just fill the board into what it is that you found.
Sure. At the last meeting, I prepared some testimony based on Institute of Transportation Engineers data, based on the size of the building at Richie's Bar and Restaurant, and the number of seats in the main sanctuary for the House of Worship, which is 175. and I prepared some estimates of traffic generation based on the ITE data, and those numbers were pretty high for both of the uses, and I believe one of the board members had some questions about those numbers because I guess Ritchie's has been out there for quite some time, and it's not quite as busy as it used to be. And I was asked to go out and actually do some traffic counts at Ritchie's, and we did that. We did that on Saturday, December 21st, 2024. We also went to 1 Ethel Road, which is where the services for the congregation are held now. We went out there, I personally went out there on a Saturday afternoon between 1 and 2 o'clock to observe how many cars were in the parking lot at 1 Ethel Road. And we wanted to do a comparison between the two uses. And what I can tell you is that you were absolutely correct. Ritchie's is not as busy as the ITE would suggest. A total of 40 cars went onto and off the site in the 3-hour period between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. on that Saturday. And I can tell you from my site visit to 1 Ethel Road, there were a total of approximately 15 cars that were in the parking lot that presumably belonged to congregants that were in the building at the House of Worship at 1 Ethel Road. So the conclusion I reached was that both the existing House of Worship and the existing bar and restaurant that are out at 52 Vineyard Road are generating traffic that's less than what the ITE suggests. And so that, I think, is factual. The only other thing I can add is the trip generation estimates that I testified to at the last meeting were based on an assumption that the 175-seat main sanctuary would be full and that the bar and restaurant of that particular size would be an active and busy and successful restaurant. And so, of course, neither of those two things are the case right now.
Mr. Wright, can you either move the microphone up or just?
Sorry.
There we go, no problem, thank you.
Okay, did it pick me up? I can start over again, or?
No, you can keep going.
Okay, that's it. That summarizes it.
Okay.
Just a couple real quick questions. So, Mr. Ray, based on those numbers and those observations that you made, it's safe to say that Ritchie's is not operating as a thriving, viable business currently as it is, correct?
I would agree that's true.
Okay, but you would still say that the current activities of the Dada Bhagwan Vignan Institute at 1 Ethel is actually less in that 3-hour span than what you observed at Ritchie's, correct?
A little bit less, but essentially pretty equal.
But fairly comparable.
Yes.
Okay. And so in your opinion, do you believe that that this is still an acceptable and reasonable proposal and site, and that it's not going to have any negative, detrimental traffic impacts on that location?
I believe that is the case. As I had testified to at the last meeting, there's always the possibility another operator could come in and operate the bar and restaurant. There's also a packaged liquor store, could make it more successful, and it would, if in that case turned out to be true, it would generate more traffic than the House of Worship. It's not the case right now, but it could be, and the ITE data is based on square footage, based on the number of seats, and based on successful operations.
And similarly, Mr. Ray, I believe the hours of operations for Ritchie's go until 2 a.m., and the hours of operation that we're proposing here are significantly less or cut off much earlier than that. Is that correct?
I think Ritchie's is 2 a.m., and I think our hours are, if I'm not mistaken, no later than 10 p.m. in the evening.
That's on weekends, correct?
On
9
weekend.
p.m. during the week, and on Fridays through Sundays to 10 p.m.
10 p.m., correct.
So that represents, again, a significant portion of the time at the after hours or at the in the evening that it's actually going to potentially improve traffic, correct?
Well, it would shut down at 10 p.m. on weekends instead of 2 a.m.
Correct. I have no further questions of Mr. Ray at this time, if the board has any
Does
questions.
the board have any questions for Mr. Ray?
Mr. Chair, did we have this submitted, the observations?
I was just asked to provide them. I did not submit them. I have the data. If you would like it, make it a condition of approval. Hopefully, we could provide the data.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's all right here.
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chairman?
in reference to the entrance coming off Vineyard Road, we talked about you coming in there, that was a possible issue? Was that resolved, or what?
Yes, we agreed to restrict left turns into the Vineyard Road driveway. Those left turns, if people are coming up Vineyard Road, we discussed this at the last meeting. Left turns can be made at Johnstone Street, and then, you know, the congregants could get in from the Johnstone Street driveway. But we agreed to restrict left turns into the Vineyard Road access, primarily due to the stacking that occurs at the traffic light. And we agreed to that condition at the last meeting.
And I can confirm that we did agree to that. We did discuss that and agree to that condition.
How is someone going to know not to make a left turn there? I'm looking at it right now. Can you
Well-
show us? I mean, I don't see how you, that's a unique situation there, coming out of the retail store there, and then coming in. I don't see how that's going to happen.
There would be signage restricting the left turn. My expectation is that double right turn coming out of the Edison crossing, I believe it's called, if one of the congregants is in there at Sam's Club or doing whatever they're doing, conducting business in there, my expectation is if they were coming to the temple afterwards, they wouldn't make that turn and try to get into the site from Vineyard Road. They'd probably go out to Route 1 and make a series of right turns and come up Vineyard Road and make the left at Johnstone Street. They'd have to think about that, but clearly the congregant would be aware of that restriction and would make the necessary adjustments.
Mr. Chairman? So you're saying someone coming out of Sam's Club would sit there and think about going, I'm going to go to Vineyard, I'm going to go to Route 1? Is that your testimony?
What I'm saying is that the congregant would be aware of the restriction that they couldn't make a left turn into the driveway on Vineyard Road, and they would plan accordingly, like we all do every day. I don't think it's that complicated. They would go out to Route 1 and make a series of right turns so that they could come up Vineyard and make the left on Johnstone Street. They would know that before they would come to the temple. They would know that they can't get in from the double right turn coming out of the center. It's a function, let me back up for a second. This is a function of where the property is located at the corner of Vineyard and Johnstone. Whatever use goes into that property, whether it's another bar and restaurant, whether it's a temple, whatever use goes in there, they've got to deal with this situation. And whatever use goes in there, I would expect the board would impose a left turn restriction on the Vineyard Road driveway. I think that's totally logical and reasonable. So it's a function of where the property is located. The only other thing I would point out is that we do have, if I'm not mistaken, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 10 perpendicular 90-degree parking spaces that back up into the right-of-way of Vineyard Road today. And we're rectifying that situation. We're making it safer.
And Mr. Ray, as you, just to piggyback on what you just said, this use as a use where you have congregants, people that are going there that are members of this and that are familiar with the site versus, say, a retail site or some site where it's encouraging new traffic to come in and people that aren't familiar with that area. This is actually beneficial in this case because the people who are going there are people who will be familiar with the site, be familiar with how to get there, and be familiar how to not make any sort of confusing or dangerous.
They will be familiar with the traffic restrictions in the area, and they won't be pass-by traffic. It won't be transient traffic that sees the land use and decides, oh, I want to go in there, and realizes at the last minute, I can't make a left turn.
The property next door, did you look at the impact of any potential traffic?
Yes, I did obtain that traffic study. I believe that was approved. That traffic study was done back in August of 2013 by Langen Engineering, and I did review that traffic study, and I think certainly the two uses are compatible. They're very similar.
Thank you. How about the letters from the Edison Police Department for traffic control from Sergeant Winters and also for the fire? Were these letters addressed?
Yes, actually, I can address that. We did agree on, back in December, those letters were spoken about. One of the conditions that the board had indicated that they would want is that let me go back to it, I have it highlighted. That we would agree to provide in writing to Chief Toth and meet with him so that any sort of issues as to as to, so that a plan can be developed for if there's any firefighting issues that need to be addressed. So it was a condition that it would be to the satisfaction of Chief Toth. And additionally, I believe the police letter, again, we addressed the police letter. They had indicated there that we were seeking a variance for off-site parking, which is not true. That at no point were we seeking any variance for off-site parking. So I think there was maybe some confusion on the part of the of whoever was the reviewer that was writing the letter on behalf of the police department. But in any event, we're happy to also, as a condition, if this is approved, work with the police department to make sure that there is no negative detrimental effects. We know that we are not going to be parking off-site on any residential streets. We're very much aware of that. The congregants are very much aware of that. And again, this is a congregation that currently sits at about 40 people. And the capacity can go up, but as I believe was mentioned last time, there was a comment that, well, because this building is larger, doesn't that mean that the congregation is going to now be twice or 3 times or 4 times or 5 times larger? If that's the way this worked, every church would be a mega church, every mosque would be a mega church or a mega mosque, every synagogue would be a mega synagogue, because apparently if you just build it much bigger, more congregations will come. It would be great if the congregation grew, but we certainly don't expect that it would grow at anywhere near the rate of 5 times what their normal congregation is right now. But also, as part of any religious use, you find a location that is suitable to the congregation. If the congregation starts to outgrow that, you find a new location. I mean, that's the goal of every religious use, is always to have more members. And it's sort of a built-in rate limiting step that if your congregation is growing too big and you need to go to a new building, you start looking for a new building. Because there is this condition that we are agreeing to of limiting it to 175, the congregation will have plenty of time to know that if this suddenly becomes very popular and we're at 100, 120, 130 members, they'll know they have a limit that it's time to start looking for a new location. I don't expect that's going to happen anytime in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It's not my experience that there's such an outpouring of new congregants just because a new building has been obtained.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Dave?
I just want to confirm that from Vineyard Road, there would be entrance to the parking lot only, no exit.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
And Johnston Road.
And only a right turn in, sir, no left turn.
Correct, and no left turn from Vineyard Road.
Correct.
And on Johnston Street, when you come out, there's only right turn and no left turn would be made, correct?
I believe the Johnstone Street access is unrestricted. You can make a left.
Access is unrestricted, but exit is only make a right turn, correct?
No, you can make a left turn as well, too, to get out to the signal at Vineyard Road. There's nothing shown on the plans that would restrict that left turn movement.
Do they have a center lane to come into?
They don't, but the volumes on Johnstone Street are not of a magnitude to create an issue. The only other thing I'd point out is if you force people to make a right turn instead of a left to go back to Vineyard Road, you're forcing them through the residential neighborhood. I don't think that's a particularly, good idea.
All right, when you are coming out, that many cars from parking lot, there would be car at the traffic light backed up on Johnston. You may not have enough room to put insert your car in between.
During most times, that the answer would be yes, but during the times when there's a queue on Johnstone Street, what would happen would be typical of what happens at every corner intersection where there's a traffic light. You'd have to wait for the traffic light to turn green on Johnstone Street and for the queue to get flushed out, if you will, and then that space would become available. It's very common at any corner intersection at a traffic light.
By that time, you'll have car coming in on Johnston Street from the junction as well.
All of that is true, but the existing situation is, I don't know how to say it. I think we presented this at the last meeting. We have 90-degree parking up against the building on Johnstone Street as well, too.
No, I get it.
And it could be used again for another restaurant, bar, whatever the use is. And you'd have people backing out into Johnstone Street. What we're proposing, we've thought about this, and Menlo Engineering and myself, we got together and we think we've designed a plan that's clearly, and I would defer to your professionals, the access is far more safer than it is today.
Do you have an entrance and exit in middle of that property, right?
It's about on the middle of the Johnstone Street frontage, correct?
Would it make it better if you shift that entrance all the way back? Would it make it better? You have enough room to get the car.
I understand, and that the answer to that is if it can be done engineering-wise, I would agree with you, but was Mike Marinelli testified at the last meeting? I don't know if there's any other, engineering reasons why it couldn't be done, but if it could be done, I would agree with you. I'm just not sure whether it can be done from an engineering perspective. I don't know if he's looking.
It would ease up the traffic at the junction.
Yeah, it would make it easier to get out onto
And easier
Johnstone.
for congregant to get out as well.
I think one of the issues with that, though, is that it would then restrict parking further. So I think you would
You're
potentially.
just moving it from middle to the end.
Yeah.
So I certainly, again, if from an engineering perspective, if it's something that can be done and considered without causing additional variances or other sort of detriments, I have no problem looking into that and working in conjunction with your board professionals if they believe that there is a better circulation element to be able to move that. We would certainly agree to make as a condition that we work with your board professionals in order to optimize the circulation as much as possible.
Can I make a suggestion after looking at this a second time? Maybe if we make the location where the existing curb cut is proposed an entrance only, because we have some angled parking stalls that are only accessible from that point if it's an entrance, and make the driveway to the far end of the site an exit only, which accomplishes what I think you want to accomplish.
I'm fine with that. So
Okay.
make one entrance and the other one
Yeah,
exit.
that might work.
All right, that's fine.
Mr. Carley?
Donna gets paid the big bucks. That's an elegant solution. It addresses the board's concern in that regard in terms of making sure that the exit to the from the site is outside of the operational area of the Vineyard Road signal. I do want to remind the applicant and the board, there was some discussion about the Vineyard Road driveway, and I think Hank said it, he compared it to the Sam's Club exit onto Vineyard Road. It's an English skew or something like that, or a British skew, I forget, like most things that Hank says. But I think it would be worthwhile, and I think the applicant did agree to put the same sort of skew on the entrance into the site on Vineyard Road. So folks, if they do get lost despite the arrows and the signaling that's given to them by signs, pavement markings and signs, that they would physically be unable to get onto Vineyard Road against traffic. And so that would just take a skew on the entrance onto Vineyard Road. And I think that was part of the discussion, and I think that went through.
I think we can do that.
Yeah.
To make it angled so that it just favors the right turn movement in and makes the left turn movement more difficult to make.
Mr. McDonough's going to have to get paid double time and a half for his efforts tonight.
Just
Thank
want to
you.
get home safe tonight and not have any of the drones I saw drop anything on me.
Thank you. Okay,
That's about it.
all right, you good? All right, does the board have anything else for Mr. Ray? All right, Mr. Archie.
I would note, I believe it was called a modified British tea, if Mr. Carley was, modified British tea. I'm
Take
looking at
notes,
the
Charlie.
transcript. Unless the board has any other questions for Mr. Ray, I have nothing further.
We do not, okay, all right. All right, so we will now go out to the public. Anyone within 200 feet of subject site wanting to be heard, if you're within 200 feet, you received a notice via certified mail. Seeing none, we'll go outside of 200 feet of the site wanting to be heard. Sir, please approach.
Sir, raise your right hand. Sure. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And state your full name for the record.
My name is Naresh J. Patel,
And your address, please.
84 Philo Boulevard, Edison, New Jersey, 08837. N as in Nancy, A is in Apple, R, E is in Edward, S-H.
Okay, you may proceed, sir. You could start.
I'm sorry.
That's good.
So again, thank you for hearing me, and thank you for taking this into consideration. And I'm in full support of the Dada Bhagwan Vignan Institute House of Worship. It's just my mom and I at my address, and I have a busy schedule, and I've gotten to know the people at this House of Worship for over a number of years, and just a good group of people. After my father passed about 6 years ago, they've kind of become a second family to my mom, and she's 84, and constantly worry about her. And these are people that, like, I'm sure you people, you guys have this in your life too, where there's just people that just stop by and get things done for you, like look after my mom. So these are the type of people that'll be at this House of Worship. So I'm in full support of it.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Anyone else outside of 200 feet want to be heard?
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I will. I'll
And
do.
state your full name and provide your address.
Yeah, my name is Naina Patel. Address 125 Harding Avenue, Edison, New Jersey. I live in Edison like almost 37 years. And looking into this Dada Bhagwan Institute that we are going to have here at Vineyard Road, is going to be great upliftment for the resident, and we would like to support Edison resident.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And please state your full name and provide your address.
Yes. My name is Hema Shah, Hemasshah, and I live in Edison past 35 years,
Your
and
address, please.
14 Dogwood Drive, Edison, New Jersey. So I like to support the institute that we are talking about, and I think it's very good for the community who's surrounded by Indian community, and it will help the people to solve their problems. It will uplift the people's soul and give the good vibration to the Edison Township. So I think that's what we need for the younger people to join the community, and the congregation will help to the community very well. And we've been in Edison for so long in the senior home that we are doing our weekly, spiritual gathering. So I think this would help the community with a lot of way and uplift the community very well. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you very much.
listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming out. Anyone else? Last call. Anyone else? Can I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close public portion.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, second by Mr. Patel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Public portion is now closed. Mr. Archer, if you have any summation?
Yes, briefly. So just so the board remembers, you have 6 voting members. We are requesting D variances, so we would need an affirmative 5 votes in order for this to pass. So just keep that in mind when you're voting. Your vote is extremely important to this application. This is an application that has gone through multiple reviews with your board professionals. We came in initially with 2 separate concept reviews with your board professionals. We took their input. We addressed their concerns. We've gone through rounds of discussion with them in order to make sure that this was as good of an application that we could certainly bring before the board. And as you've heard from your professionals, your planner and your engineer, they are 100% satisfied. They have agreed that this is a huge, huge improvement to what is there currently now. What is there right now is a business that is not not thriving, not, quite frankly, I think a bit of an eyesore as it currently is. And most importantly, the parking lot is not up to safety standards or the township standards at all. You have a completely unstructured parking lot with depressed curbing all around where people can pull in at any point in the parking lot and pull out right onto the roadway. This is a huge improvement from what is there now, and your professionals agree with that. We have listened to all of the feedback that the board has provided, and we have agreed to all of the conditions that the board has asked to be imposed on this. Again, the limiting the occupancy, limiting the the hours of operation that we indicated, adding instead of a 6-foot fence, an 8-foot fence on the residential line, which was a condition that was spoken about last time. And again, we can go on and on. We've agreed to all of those conditions, and they were all reasonable and good conditions. I mean, you're clearly looking out for the residents that are living around there. One thing I will point out, and I think this board is aware of it, Edison residents are not shy coming out to zoning board and planning board hearings when they have to make their opinions known. This is within 200 feet of many residences, and you've only heard public comment that was in support of the application. So I think that also speaks volumes in terms of the need that this is, the need that the residents of Edison have for this, the massive improvement that this is. And I'm going to borrow a line from my boss, from Bob Smith. A vote for this. Remember, you're voting for or against God. So just keep that in mind when you vote. I almost wasn't going to do it, but I kind of have to do it. He's my boss. But in all seriousness, this is an application that is a huge improvement. I understand all of the concerns that the board may have, but they've all been addressed, and we would really hope that you look on this favorably. So thank you.
Okay, all right. So we'll now go to the board.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Dave.
we vote with our conscience. Just make sure you don't bring God into this, please. All right, I make a motion to approve this application. The application has met all the negative and positive criteria. The site is particularly suited for the intended use as a house of worship, which is as a prayer hall, which is less intense than a normal temple or a synagogue. The improvement will enhance the neighborhood. The application will have following conditions. The applicant has agreed to provide the agreement with the Board of Ed that the parking will be available at all times for the major events. The new facility will never be used as a party hall, banquet hall, or other use than the prayer hall, not to be used as a child care facility or adult care facilities. The activities are within the hours of 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. on weekends. Parking lot will be minimally lit overnight. No overnight parking will be at this premise. The apartment use is no more than 30 days per year. The height of the building will be no more than 32 feet. Vehicular traffic will enter through the center entrance from the Johnson Street and would exit out at the rear end of the parking lot at the Johnston Street. And the entrance through the Vineyard Road would be at an angle into the parking lot, so it would discourage the congregant to exit out on the Vineyard Road.
A second.
Oh, one more thing.
I think left turn restriction.
This motion will incorporate all of the testimony of the applicant, attorneys, planners, engineers, and member of the board, as well as incorporate all of the conditions we just as testified to.
And just to add to Mr. Dave, there will be no left turn into the site from Vineyard Road. Any left turn will be on Johnstone. And then also the applicant has agreed to install a fence, an 8-foot fence, on the western property line.
Mr. Chair, that's,
Mr. Abbott.
if I may, that's an 8-foot board-on-board fence.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Ayotte.
I also have a condition of record that I just want to make sure. We have a limitation on the capacity to 175 people.
That is correct.
And there are some other conditions, but Mr. Arch and I will work that out in the resolution.
And we certainly agree to any conditions that were testified to in the transcript. We agreed to all.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Dave, seconded by Mr. Sadata. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes, the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Sadaha?
Yes to the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba?
Yes on the motion. Unanimous approval. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Good luck.
Stay warm, if you can.
Secretary, is there any other business to come before the board this evening?
That'll be all this evening.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Sadata, seconded by Vice Chairman O'Gorman. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Board stands adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Which will equal 75.
Oh, we can give it this back? We can give back.
Oh, okay.